Yeah, this is David Talbot, and CTO of Workmover, and we really love the new Caspio Webhooks release. And Caspio Webhooks have had a pretty slow adoption rate, partly because people couldn't think of a use case. Well, here is the ultimate use case. Cancel Zapier and use Caspio Webhooks instead. And why do you do that? Well, if you think about it, Zapier was a really clever workaround for a proper webhook when Caspio didn't do webhooks. But now Caspio has webhooks, and Caspio webhooks are easy to set up. It's a really good user interface. Caspio does a super job on the low-code, configuration wizards and those sorts of things. Caspio webhooks are a lot faster because they run on the server, whereas the Zapier is some sort of external program, and you don't get any timeouts. We just ran like 600 transactions through the new webhooks program, no problem. But we've used Zapier in higher volume applications before, and oftentimes we just get a transactions per second timeout limitation with an indeterminate result. So we're really nervous about using Zapier in a high volume transaction situation, whereas totally confident with Caspio Webhooks. Zapier is not HIPAA compliant. If you have a HIPAA compliant system, you can't use Zapier. So case closed on that one. There's also better transaction control. That may be a little bit of a nerdy thing for us. With Zapier, once you've executed the Zap, you've lost control of the transaction. So for example, if you send an SMS through Twilio, then Twilio is clever enough to realize if the SMS is going to an old landline, plug into the wall that can't do SMS messages, but you don't know that because you've lost the transaction. Whereas with Caspio Webhooks, you can keep control of the transaction. Okay, and then a little bit of a nerdy thing. We can set up webhooks by API, but that's probably a little nerdy thing for us that not very important. The transition is risk-free because you can carry on using Zapier while you run the webhooks in parallel. And after you've been running, in parallel for a couple of weeks or whatever, a week or so, and you're confident, then you can just turn off Zapier and off you are running with Caspio Webhooks. And here's the zinger: Caspio Webhooks are probably free. Okay. Now, you have to chat with your Caspio CSM on this. The reason I'm saying this, we have a Caspio Grow account, $600 and something a month or something like that, and we get 500,000 webhooks per month in our standard Caspio Grow account. And even if you have a starter account, you can add on the webhooks for a pretty reasonable fee. And so for a lot of us, depending on your Caspio plan, have to check with your CSM, but I think that probably Caspio webhooks for free. And as you know, for some of you who've got either higher volume Zapiers or you're doing multi-level sort of logic within Zapier, you may be paying quite a lot per month. So it's a one-time transition, and then you don't have any more monthly costs. And even if you run over the 500,000 a month, it's a pretty minimal cost with Zapier. And you see, if you're a good candidate, if you'd like, we'd be happy to have a quick look at your Zapier and tell you if transition makes sense for you. Now, there's a couple of little fine print things down the bottom, always is, but we like to be totally honest. We already have components that do these features, and apart from a couple of hours of actually installing them, we don't charge for these features. Time delayed actions, which you might want to use. Auto retries, if there's a failure, for example, we often do international currency transactions, so we go out to the international currency exchange rate system. Sometimes on busy periods, it times out, and so we do a retry, say with like faxes and stuff like that. And also, you do want to have like an option to do a manual retry, and all these, and there's some additional logging, but we already have components that do this. We just have to plug them in for it. So as you can see, I'm sort of crazy excited about this. I think this is the ultimate use case for the new Caspio webhooks, and I strongly encourage everyone to think about that, if only for this reason. It's a big cost saving. It's a big cost saving. So thanks very much then, and we'll chat to you soon. Happy to chat with anyone in the Caspio family. Bye-bye.